Well, they're all in on it. I wholeheartedly believe that they are. Right now, chaos is breaking out yet again in the state of Minnesota. Things are going nuts in that state. And the people at the very top, Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and Frey, all continue to encourage their citizens to obstruct ICE officials, which is a criminal activity. Well, Donald Trump has had enough, and he is now calling it out on his Truth Social page. In fact, he posted 15 words that tell you everything you need to know about what is going on there in Minnesota and what this is really and truly all about. Not only that, but JD Vance also dropped another bombshell and put down some pretty serious accusations about what's going on. And you guys are going to be floored by what he said. It actually proves some of the stuff that I've been talking about here on my channel. But let's dive in to some of the chaos that is going on. And I'm going to start with what went on in Minnesota. This is on the dailycaller.com, and its headlines: suspect who looked ready to massacre law enforcement shot dead in Minneapolis, DHS says. I know I've said Minneapolis a lot, but I've said it that way my entire life. So for all you grammar police out there, I'm going to try real hard to say Minneapolis. But anyway, what went down and transpired is a young man was carrying a pistol to a protest, right? Totally legal. We can do that. The problem with it is he was impeding ICE investigation. And on top of that, he was also resisting arrest. This is a recipe for disaster. It's a very unfortunate thing that happened. And my heart goes out to that family that was impacted by that. It's a very negative thing. But it's a recipe for disaster. I like the way Daniel Loesch said it. Yes, you can absolutely carry to a protest. Anyone who tells you otherwise is anti-Second Amendment. And no, you absolutely cannot interrupt a federal op while armed and tussled with an LEO. That's how tragic thing happens. It is not rocket science. And I wholeheartedly agree with her because this is what went down. And it's very sad, but it is a recipe for disaster. And it's very unfortunate. But now we have protests and riots breaking out all over the state. And they're not peaceful riots, by the way. But before I dive in, just a quick break from my sponsor. Well, if you've been told the only way to control high blood pressure is by a cabinet full of pills, then you're going to want to listen up. A leading blood pressure doctor from Texas has discovered what he calls an old salt trick. In his study, participants used this simple method and saw their numbers drop into a healthy range, often in just weeks. In fact, the best part is many were even able to reduce their medications with their doctor's approval. Just imagine going from dangerously high readings to a near perfect blood pressure. Imagine saying goodbye to the endless cycles of prescriptions and the constant fear of heart problems. In fact, if you or someone you know struggles with high blood pressure and you're looking for a safe and natural alternative, then you are absolutely going to want to check this out. All you have to do is go to myprimal.life/Lisa BP. This could be exactly what you have been searching for, and I highly recommend you check it out today. All you have to do as well, if you want more information, scan this code right here on the screen. Scan it right now with your cell phone, and you can check it out. And if you want more information, there's also a link in the description box below. And if you're on your cell phone, you can find that with the More button. With all of that, back to the broadcast. So with that, as a result of, the young man being shot by ICE officials, this started breaking out in the good old state of Minnesota. I'm not going to play the volume there, but you can see they are breaking in to a hotel here that they believe ICE is staying at. This is what they're calling a peaceful protest, by the way. And this is Tim Walz's area there. But the mainstream media isn't telling anybody about these violent protests that are taking place. And this poor freaking hotel, right? I feel sorry for some of the damages that are being done. But anyway, also here's another one. I'm going to also not play, but you can play the volume. But they are setting up here a barricade in a second attempt, in my opinion, to establish an autonomous zone 2.0 like they did with George Floyd. So this is some of the riots and protests that are now happening, and this is impeding law enforcement investigations. These people have every right to be arrested at this point because they are breaking the law. Right. And this is what is tragic about this whole thing. ICE is simply doing their job, and they're getting bombarded with people, right, who are trying to impede their investigation, and bad things are happening. And it's very, very unfortunate. But this is not being queltered by those in power. This is being encouraged by those in power. Now, there's also this, and this is very chilling. Left-wing activists have also run shadow police force on Signal to target ICE in Minneapolis. Or Minneapolis for all the grammar police out there. I've said it Minneapolis my entire life. It's very hard to break. It's a Texas accent, if you will, but Minneapolis. I got it. Takes me a minute. But anyway, the bad part is there is a left-wing group that has just been exposed that is literally a shadow police force online. Now, this was all broken, I believe, by Cam Higby. And it shows here that he has infiltrated an organization, Signal Group, all around Minneapolis with the sole intention of tracking down federal agents and impeding, assaulting and obstructing them. Buckle up, all will be revealed, and each city has their own signal or several signals. And so he starts with, some of the members in the group there that he goes through, and it shows some of the stuff they talk about, the diagrams they have. But this entire chat, basically the entire group there is all about impeding ICE investigations. And to have this advanced of a system set up in advance tells you without doubt that there is obviously more to the story. This is all planned. This was all done in advance. They had this whole system ready to go for fill in the blank event, right? Not only that, but here's another one. And this was also posted by Cam Higby. And it says, I have been undercover inside the group for days. You'll notice emojis next to people's names. Here's a key for what those emojis mean. The highlighted positions are the most crucial. Most are self-explanatory, like mobile patriots spend their entire shift searching for vehicles. And when they find one, they send it to the group and they send it to the plate checkers who can compare with their database and see if it's a known federal vehicle. Right? Sounds like patrols and officials, officers, police officers may be a part of this group. Anyway, or if a patrol can make the confirmation so that the database can be updated. And you can see here, these are the emojis next to people's names. You got the mobile patrol, those who are running after ICE, stationary people are on foot, dispatchers, let's go out right now and take care of this ICE agent. And you've got license plate checkers, medic, aftercare, the whole 9 yards. This is a very, very, very advanced system. And again, who's paying for it? Radical left-wing groups. All of this is being done right now. And what's really sick is many are questioning, are the police being told to stand down? Are they a part of it? Are they involved? Because they're obviously not helping ICE officials. In fact, at one of the protests there, I'll show you this video, and police are literally turning around. Let me go to the beginning. Oh, there he goes. Both of them flipping a U-turn. And that's all during the middle of a protest. You could hear the protest literally happening in background. Then there's this also, and this is on Gateway Pundit. Minnesota National Guard deploys to federal facility to distribute snacks, coffee, hot chocolate to anti-ICE mob. And they even told them to wear vests so they're not mistaken for federal agents. And here's what it states. It says Minnesota Governor Tim Walz activated the National Guard weeks ago, right? As protests surge after federal immigration operations intensified in Twin Cities. According to reports coming out of Minnesota, Guard members have been deployed to federal facilities, not to hold the line, by the way, but to ensure that anti-ICE protesters stay warm and fed. No joke. News commentator Anthony Cabasa broke the unbelievable story, revealing that the Guard has effectively been turned into a taxpayer-funded concierge service for the radical left. Minnesota National Guard members have arrived at the site of the federal building and have been ordered to distribute donuts, coffee, and hot chocolate to the anti-ICE protesters. But it gets worse than that, right? The orders given to the Guard members highlight just how backwards the situation is. The leadership's terrified at offending the mob and so afraid the rioters are turning violent that they have ordered the troops to distinguish themselves from actual federal agents. And how do they do that? Well, they were issued specific instructions regarding on what to wear. They were given reflective vests. So protesters, don't confuse them with ICE agents. No joke. ICE? So let's just put them in yellow vests, to make sure that their own doesn't go after their own. That's what that is. But J.D. Vance called the whole thing out because, quite frankly, this is engineered. It's planned, it's engineered, and they used it and let it go during BLM. During the Summer of Love, and now they're using the exact same tactics on this anti-ICE raid that is suddenly popping up. But here's the bombshell from J.D. Vance regarding Minnesota. And he says this level of engineered chaos is unique to Minneapolis. It is the direct consequence of far left agitators working with local authority. So this video that you saw of the police officer turning around makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? And this is coming from J.D. Vance. Boom. It's a direct consequence of left agitators working with authorities. Says a lot, right? And then as a result of all this, Donald Trump has sent in the border czar, Tom Homan. He's sending him there to basically try to help quell things in the area as well. Now, here's the entire, Donald Trump sums up everything that is going on in Minnesota in 15 words on his social media page. And they're rather intriguing because I believe he is 100% right, in my opinion, of course. But here's those 15 words. Minnesota is a criminal cover-up of the massive financial fraud that has gone on. And in my opinion, he's right. These 15 words say everything we need to know about what is really going on in Minnesota. In fact, he expands on another post. He says, this is the gunman's gun. And that's the gunman's gun, the gunman that I talked about in the beginning of this video, loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. What is that all about? Where are the local police? Why aren't they allowed to protect ICE officers? The mayor and the governor called them off. Is it stated that many of these police were not allowed to do their job, that ICE had to protect themselves? Not an easy thing to do. Why does Ilhan Omar have $34 million in her account? And where are the tens of billions of dollars that have been stolen from the once great state of Minnesota? We are there because of massive monetary fraud with billions of dollars missing and illegal criminals that were allowed to infiltrate the state through the Democrats' open border policy. We want the money back. We want it back now. These fraudsters who stole the money are going to jail where they belong. This is no different than a really big bank robbery. Much of what you're witnessing is a cover-up for this theft and fraud. The mayor and the governor are inciting an insurrection, and I believe he used those words on purpose, with their pompous, dangerous, and arrogant rhetoric instead of these sanctimonious political fouls should be looking for billions of dollars that have been stolen from the people in Minnesota and the United States of America. Let our patriots of ICE do their job. 12,000 illegal criminals, many of them violent, have been arrested and taken out of Minnesota. If they were still there, you had something far worse than you are witnessing today. But again, I love that he's putting this in here for a reason, right? Inciting an insurrection, because I believe that is exactly what they are doing. By the way, please pray for James O'Keefe. He actually went on the ground there in Minneapolis, and a mob threatened to kill him. He details the whole thing on this, but basically he received death threats via an app. He went out there, he was mobbed, and he talks about how they literally had it planned. Like they normally have like an exit plan that they use, but they were followed throughout the streets because, again, remember that signal chat? Well, they have people on rooftops and sides and all of this that are tracking vehicles. So he found it very, very hard to get away. So please keep him in your prayers. But meanwhile, the left is still using radical rhetoric. Here's Kathy Hochul, who calls for Noem to be fired, vows to hold the Trump administration accountable. In other words, they are going to arrest the Trump administration once they leave office. This is what she said. Make no mistake, when these people who have abused the power entrusted to them by their offices are finally out of power, states, including New York, will hold them accountable. In other words, they're going to jail them for crimes that they never even committed. I will have more to report on further actions in the coming days. That's Hochul there. Then we also have Waltz in saying that there's an Anne Frank, like in Nazi Germany, sitting somewhere. Take a listen.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
Whew.
And there's one person who can end this now.
That'd be you. Just a thought. But anyway, his rhetoric is getting more and more intense. He actually went on another broadcast. I was going to play it, but it's just stupid. And he's saying, is this what you voted for? When you voted for Donald Trump, come to our side. And the whole 9 yards. Anyhow, Donald Trump is saying he is now in talks with Tim Waltz. He just put this up a little bit ago on his Tim's social page, and he said that they had a good call and that they're going to be working together with respect to Minnesota. I'm so sorry, but I'm very doubtful on that. I think that he's getting played by Tim Waltz of Minnesota, and he should put up his guard. Trump, if you're listening, just a heads up. Anyhow, I love you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.